An in-depth guide to understanding what Tantra really is. Question 2. Where and when does Tantra originate from historically? It is thought that Tantra originated from the Saivu Hindu traditions in the 5th century in the Indian subcontinent and quickly developed due to some religious philosophies which included Buddhism, Hinduism and Jainism being highly significant during this period. The key texts of Hindu and Buddhist teachings during this time were known as sutras, specific ways of thinking that were often written down in books. But although Tantra began to expand this thought process, the teachings were not as readily available, as during this early period they could only be orally transferred between teachers and their students, which could of course vary to some degree. In India during this time, Tantra quickly became popular and widespread, as religious practices were either mainly confined to the priests, or it was expected that those who chose to learn had to give up everything else in their life to show their dedication. Tantra offered a new way of thinking, as it was not a religion but a chosen path of life, and this thought process still continues today. Anyone can learn to practice Tantra, as it does not require you to give up your religion or to change your life in any way. You just need to feel ready within yourself. During this historical time, because Tantra was available to all and not just a select few, people were able to feel more connected to their gods, as opposed to seeing them solely as the path to salvation. And so gradually in the 8th century, the oral teachings from various teachers merged together to form key texts. These tantras were sacred lessons which focused on devotion to the divine, and tantric concepts began to spread widely, especially in Indian Tibet, where still today you can see statues of the deities on the temples depicting Tantra. Additional tantric imagery can also be found in various manuals, illustrations, and written texts, but also in tantric artwork including mandalas, which showed recognizable images, yantras, consisting of shapes and symbols that represented human consciousness, and mantras, that were sounds, phrases, or words which were based on tantric teachings. As Tantra became more widespread, Buddhist texts became translated into multiple languages, and teachings were mentioned in some of the holiest of scriptures in Hinduism, which gave more clarity about the tantric philosophies, as until then they were still open to interpretation. Gradually, all the religions became influenced by tantric traditions, with Hinduism, Buddhism, Sikhism, Islam, and Jainism becoming most heavily influenced. Tantric traditions were devoted to the gods or goddesses, which became known as Shiva and Shakti in Hinduism, and Prajna and Upaya in Buddhism. The Sri Yantra mystical diagram, consisting of 9 interlocking triangles, is one of the most famous representations of Tantra, which depicts the coming together of the gods and goddesses who were seen as being equally important in their status. From the 20th century, Tantra began to take on more of a New Age philosophy, although the ancient teachings still remained as significant. Unfortunately, in some parts of the world today, especially India, despite the new modern philosophies, Tantra remains to have negative connotations, due to art and architecture still present from that time, depicting sexual practices and rituals for spiritual enhancement. In addition to this, in ancient times, tantrikas were viewed as sorcerers, and many of the tantras were viewed as black magic, which were intended to accumulate power or cause harm to others. Today, tantric practice has become modernized and more advanced, although the authentic teachings, with their focus based on self-exploration, remain the same and are widespread throughout the world, with many people choosing to benefit from their teachings and philosophies.